and welcome to Healing Point. I am your anchor, Pamzi Jaman. Pilgrimage is said to be one of the pillars of Islam. Over the years, many citizens have gone to the Holy Land, mostly on government sponsorship. How has the visit to the Holy Land changed an individual to be at peace with self and neighbor? Today's discussion will be centered on peace and unity among citizens. And to have this discussion is the Executive Secretary, Plateau State Muslim Welfare Board, Barrister Auwalu Abdullahi. You're welcome to Healing Point.
Thank you very much, and you're welcome to the board.
Before we go further, we would like to know, what is the mission and vision of this board?
Well, first and foremost, I would like to welcome you to the Muslim Pilgrims Welfare Board, Plateau State. To get down to your question, head on, the mission and the vision of the Muslim Pilgrims Board on the Plateau is providing a conducive atmosphere for intending pilgrims to go and perform the religious rite of pilgrimage in a very conducive atmosphere and in a way that their welfare is paramount. So in a nutshell, that is the mission and the vision.
Okay, thank you very much. Having given the background to go on pilgrimage, how has this increased the Muslim faith?
Of course, it increases faith because pilgrimage is a spiritual journey. It is a journey of a lifetime. Each and every Muslim, sane, adult, is looking forward to this journey. And when you go for the journey, it will increase you in faith, it will increase you in spirituality, it will bring you closer to your Creator. You will see the relics of history whereby the noble Prophet of Islam has lived during his time with his companions, the pious people that came after them, their lifestyle, their dedication to God, their disposition generally. So it increases faith whenever you undertake this journey, because when you come back, you have learned and some things have been imbibed in you, such as tolerance, such as understanding, such as togetherness. You come to find out that there's a thin line between Christianity and Islam. There's a thin line also between Islam and Judaism. The three major religions of the world, they are totally, intertwined. You find out that the history of Abraham, which we call Ibrahim alayhi salam in the Islamic epistemology, whom both the Christians and the Jews, attribute their genealogy to him, and also Islam. So you find out that you have a lot in common, and that your Creator is one, the Almighty God, and that you have a lot to benefit from each other. Because I remember a verse in the Noble Quran which says that, O you mankind, verily we have created you from a single male and a single female. That was Adam and Eve. And we made you into nations and tribes so that you may know each other, in order to understand one another, with your different tongues, with your different ethnicity, with your different creed, whatever difference you have. God has created us to understand each other, not to despise one another. And God says that verily the best among you, that is in all humanity, the best among humanity is he who is good in conduct, is he who is very closer to God, is he who has piety and the fear of God, irrespective of whatever religion you profess. The best among you is he who has, good understanding and good relationship with his Lord. So when you undertake this kind of journey, it increases your faith, it increases you in spirituality.
Okay, we've often heard that Islam is a religion of peace.
Definitely.
And in the past, Plateau State had conflict engulfing the states here and there. And we understand that conflicts begins from the mind. How is these activities, the visit to the Holy Land, change an individual to be at peace to be at peace first with yourself and your neighbors?
Well, as I said earlier in my preamble, when you undertake a spiritual journey, you are bound to become so sober. You meet different type of people from different angles of the world, because a pilgrimage is a terminus whereby you meet all different type of people from the world, from the nooks and crannies of the world. You meet people from the Far East, you meet people from the West, you meet people from the East, from the Eastern Bloc, people from the South Asia, from the West, from everywhere. People converge with different culture, with different tradition, with different tongue. You understand? Now, by having a kind of good relationship of 30 to 40 days mingling with these people, some you don't even understand their language, their characters differs, their culture and their tradition differs from the one from your country. If you can manage them, how much more your immediate neighbor that you grew up together, that you are together, you grew up together, you play together, you enter their houses, they enter your house, and you eat together. Then you have the spirit of living together with people, knowing that yes, God is really great. He has created people differently, but He has a purpose. There's a wisdom behind that creation. Now, people will understand and imbibe those lessons accruable from that journey. And then, you see, first and foremost, cleansing has to start from oneself. You have to purge your mind, first and foremost. You have to understand and accept people the way they are. It is the will of God that He creates me a Muslim and you a Christian. If He so wishes, He will have created all of us to be on the same faith. But in His wisdom, He has created us with our diversity. And that diversity should serve as strength for all of us and not a weakness.
Okay, Plateau State having engulfed in having ravaged by conflict in the past, and you made mention that going for pilgrimage, you're meeting people from different ethnic groups, and coming back home, as a board, is there any activity that you're doing to enhance peace and unity on the plateau?
Yes, of course. First and foremost, we would like to applaud the administration of His Excellency Executive Governor of Plateau State, and by the special grace of God, the Chairman, Northern Governors Forum, His Excellency Right Honorable Barrister Dr. Simon Bakolalon, for his foresight, for his dedication toward peaceful coexistence on the plateau. A man of vision, a responsible man, reasonable and respectable, a man of absolute sincerity, ability, intelligence and wisdom. You see, before the advent of the current administration, there were a lot of conflicts on the plateau, and it is attributable to two factors to me. One, bad politicians, and two, bad clerics. These are the two people that always try to create conflict within the community. But the government of the day, because of its commitments towards peaceful coexistence, it is always nipping it in the bud. It is not as if the crisis is not, coming up, but the government is always there at the right time to nip it in the bud. So credit should go to His Excellency for his, commitment toward peaceful coexistence on the plateau. Previously, the administrations that have passed were solely responsible because of their lack of, intervention in conflict issues or conflict-prone areas. That is timely intervention. Sometimes they will just sit on their hours till after damages has been done before they now respond. But this administration its ear is always on the ground. Immediately something happens, it will strike. So it now behoves on each and every one of us to know that the commitment of the government of the day is solely responsible for the peaceful coexistence on the plateau. And that credit should go to His Excellency, Right Honorable Barrister Simon Bakolalon.
Okay, thank you very much. You made mention of two things responsible for
conflict in the society.
Yeah. You made mention of politicians and clerics.
Yes.
Okay. These clerics are coming from either the church
or the mosques.
So what are you doing? Most of the clerics are with you, going for pilgrimage and all that. What are you doing to ensure that when they come back, they preach peace?
Now, if I said clerics, I'm not making a blanket judgment. I mean some particular ones. You have to understand this. I'm not saying the whole politicians are responsible or the whole clerics are responsible. Rather, some bad eggs. You know, in every strata of life, there are some bad eggs. For example, those that claim to be clerics, but they are half-baked. One interesting thing captured my mind. About 5 or 7 years ago, I accompanied my brother, my elder brother, to the St. Augustine Major Seminary. He's a Muslim, and he was billed to, to present a paper there. The whole community, or our host, were Christians and Catholics. Now, it was the first time that I ever entered into the St. Augustine Major Seminary. And to my surprise, it is a world of its own, with almost every facility that, will keep you going. We were told that irrespective of whatever qualification you have, from PhD to an ordinary secondary school certificate, when you come to the seminary, you are regarded as one. You'll be put in a class, you'll be taught social science, you'll be taught theology, and a lot of things. And you have to spend at least 9 years. 9 years learning the rudiment of preaching. What do you expect from a person that passes out from that place? He will be an obedient person. A man that really understands the word of God, and then he understands his own society and environment too. So you expect something good coming out from that particular person. But instantaneously, somebody will just spring up. Yesterday he was a singer, dancing with naked women on the platform. Now by tomorrow he will say that maybe he has a dream that God has, chosen him to be a pastor or a reverend or whatever. So also, we the Muslims, we have some well-grounded Islamic clerics that have gone through the rudiment, the nitty-gritty of Islamic theology, learning it from those that are really endowed with such knowledge. But we also have the half-baked ones that will just spring up, trying to even interpret the Quran upside down. So these are the kind or the particular kind of people that are causing trouble in our society, both from the Christian side and from the Islamic side. Now, coming to the politicians, it's not all the politicians also that are responsible for the conflict in the society, but those aggrieved politicians that do not sheath their swords. Maybe a politician will just contest for an election in a community where you have some substantial number of faith adherents, but maybe his own adherents are greater in number. He will now, bring the issue of religion. It is we against them. So whenever he loses that particular seat that he is aspiring, he starts casting, aspersions, trying to instigate and, bring people to take up arms against their neighbors and their brothers that they have lived for so many years. So these are the kind of people. But to God be the glory, the government of the day is really trying, as I said earlier. All this is now becoming a thing of the past, and we thank God for His mercies.
Okay, it's all about personal interest.
Exactly.
Use their personal
that is it.
And use religion.
Exactly.
Okay, coming back to your board now. Government spends huge amounts of money on pilgrimage for sponsorship.
Hmm.
What is the board doing to encourage self-sponsorship as faith is personal?
Yes. Although faith is personal, but the involvement of government is applaudable. Reason being that before any government of the day comes into power, the leaders are always going from pillar to post, to sell their manifestos to people. They go to people in the churches, they go to people in the mosque, and they are people of religion. Now, they ask them to vote for them, that they are going to improve their welfare. They are going to take responsibility of whatever is on ground. Now, as part of fulfilling their promises, of course, some people, they need, patronage from the government after helping the government bringing it into power. So some will be contented with, slots to go for pilgrimage. If you, for example, I know that every Muslim worth his salt, if you sponsor him to Saudi Arabia, at least you have done something for him that he will never ever forget in his life, because it is once in a lifetime, and some don't have the wherewithal to undergo that journey. Now the government should come in here. If I'm talking to an Islamic gathering, I always give them the example of what is obtainable during the time of the noble Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Prophet of Islam, who is the leader of all Muslims of all time. During his period, he once used the money from the treasury to help the poor that were not buoyant enough in terms of sacrifice and some other things. So it is the responsibility of the government to help the downtrodden. I wonder why people are now saying, why should the government be sponsoring pilgrimage, both the Christian and the Muslim pilgrimage? Of course, the government has to do that. Some people are responsible for bringing the government in, and they don't have the wherewithal to do that. So the government should come in, should help them in that regard. Secondly, as far as the self-sponsorship is concerned, we have held a meeting with the National Hajj Commission just last 2 weeks in Abuja. We have discussed at length on the possibility of introducing Hajj saving scheme. This Hajj saving scheme is modeled after something that is called tabung Hajj from Indonesia and Malaysia. It may surprise you to know that the monies that were pulled together in Malaysia for that tabun Hajj, for this year alone, they are giving out $150 million in charity. Now, some of the state chief executives of the Muslim Pilgrims Board will be co-opted into the main body of the National Hajj Commission, and they will go for study, tour, to go and understudy how these people, how these countries, Malaysia and Indonesia, were able to introduce this Hajj savings scheme that they have now relieved the government. The government is not giving out any dime. The government is not giving any dime, in as far as sponsorship of pilgrimage is concerned. It will, even the downtrodden, even the most poor people in the country will be able to perform this Hajj by giving out, some stipends. Stipends they will be giving out after a little period of time. That money that has been accrued because it is into business will have, yield some dividends, and that will be used to sponsor these people.
Okay. As we appreciate government for sponsoring the Hajj Commission, it is our responsibility that the poorest of the poor gets that privilege to go. Coronavirus outbreak has brought the world to a standstill. peradventure international flights resume and pilgrimage resume, what are the modalities put in place to ensure or to reduce the spread of COVID-19 or other diseases?
Yes, you'll agree with me that the spread of coronavirus now has, metamorphosed into community, issue. It has left the stage of individuals. Now, the best way to curb the menace of the spread of coronavirus should be strict compliance to the protocol. Protocol of the given spaces, space, protocol of face masks, and some other things like that. You understand? It is only if we are ready to comply with the protocols that we are going to fight this disease, and people are really anxious to follow these footsteps so that we will fight it once and for all.
Okay, for the want of time,
Yes.
last but not the least, what is the board doing to project hospitable nature of the people of Plateau and the tourism potential to the wider world?
Yes, as I said earlier from the beginning, that pilgrimage is a journey of faith and a journey of life. I could remember last year when the tourism board visited our office. We had a very robust discussion on the way forward. That is, Plateau State is one of the best states in Nigeria, if not the best, in terms of natural resources. Now, we discussed at length that people should be sponsored from that particular board, that's the tourism board, so that they go and understudy the kind of situation in other countries, and they will bring it back home so that we can create another tourist attraction, tourist site, hospitable nature of the people of Plateau, because the theme of Plateau State is home of peace and tourism. It is coming back to that glorious name again. You can see that Plateau is a miniature Nigeria. You can find any Nigerian in Plateau State. That was what used to happen before, and now, to the glory of God, things are coming back to its former glory. So we are going, people that are in the tourism section will go and understudy how some countries that they don't even have the endowments that we do will come and harness them and will improve on them, so that we attract a lot of tourists every year. People are going to do that, and God willing, with our hospitable nature, things are going to work on fine with us.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Finally, what will be your peace message to the people of Plateau State?
Well, as I always say, that we must live together with one another. It is the wish and the will of God that He has created us to be where we are and how we are. It is very, very important to know that it is better for us to live together as brothers than for all of us to perish as fools. So this is my kind message. Let us have that tolerance, that understanding, that togetherness, and let us embrace each other and build Plateau State to more higher pedestal. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Learn to live together. That's the message from the Executive Secretary, Muslim Pilgrims Welfare Board, Barrister Abdullahi. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm grateful.
And that's the much we can take for today. And see you next time. I am your host, Pamzi Jaman.